בוקר כליות חטאנו לפניך, רחם עלינו, חטאנו לפניך, רחם עלינו. We have sinned before you, have mercy upon us. And here maybe Mariana is going to talk a little bit more about, because it's not just about that we have sinned before God, maybe we have done some things not so good with our fellow Jews or with our family or friends. So let's see later what's going to happen. Okay, so 1 second. No quiero share más. Okay, stop share. Very good. So as I said before, these are some facts of the month of Elul. Elul is the month number 12 or 6 if we are counting from the month of Nisan. It's the month when the king is in the field, and as we are approaching the high holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and we need to prepare them. And according to the Hasidic tradition, the king, so God, is in the field, and he's smiling and is very accessible to all of us. And this is the time when anyone can approach God with requests. Also, it's a time for introspection. And after the Jewish people sinned with the golden calf, Moses went up to Sinai, to Mount Sinai, to ask for forgiveness. So 40 days later, on Erev Rosh Chodesh Elul, so today is Erev Rosh Chodesh Elul, God granted his forgiveness to Moses and to the Jewish people. And tomorrow, on Rosh Chodesh Elul, Moses ascended Sinai for the second time to prepare for the third time really, to prepare for the second tablets. And then, do you know when he descended? He went up on Rosh Chodesh Elul, and 40 days later he descended. So do you know which day he descended with the second Luchot Abrit? You can answer. So we have 30 days of the month of Elul, and then Rosh Hashanah. And Rosh Hashanah, after 10 days, is
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur. So he descended with the second tablets on Yom Kippur. Another thing that we do during the month of Elul, we say Slichot. Slichot means forgiveness, and are special prayers that we say on fast days and during this season. And the highlights of Slichot are the recitation of the 13 attributes of mercy, and it's a formula that God gave to Moses for securing divine forgiveness. So the Sfardim recite the Slichot since Rosh Chodesh Elul, and the Ashkenazim, they started reciting it the Saturday, Motzei Shabbat, 1 week before Rosh Hashanah. Also on Rosh Chodesh Elul, this is an acronym. We have the Aleph, the Lamed, the Vav, and the Lamed. It's an acronym for something that we find in the Song of Songs, Ani ledodi vedodi li, I am for my beloved and my beloved is for me. And that is expressing that God, during this time of the year, is very close to us. We also hear the shofar. We're going to start hearing the blowing of the shofar every morning, starting this coming Friday. And it's like a wake-up call for all of us. And finally, on two more things, we start reciting Psalm number 27 every day after morning service and afternoon services. And how do we greet each other during this month? We say Ketiva bechatima tova. May all of us we be written and sealed in the book of life. So we are getting ready for high holidays, for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So now I'm going to introduce our guest speaker to all of us. And I can, 1 second. 1 second. because I want to see all of you and I can't see you. Okay, can you see Mariana Wais there?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Hi, Mariana.
Hi.
How are you? So I'm going to say something about you.
Okay.
Mariana Wais has been doing career coaching for the last 25 years. 10 years ago, she found life coaching as a way to create new possibilities in her life. She's been a transformational coach and course instructor for the last 4 years. She has coached people in the US, Europe, and Latin America. She has successfully coached individuals from all fields of life, including therapists. Her life has provided her with many transforming opportunities to move from problems to love and happiness, and she now is in a mission to help others achieve the same. Mariana is the mother of 4. She has been married for 38 years. As a mother, she dealt with addiction, learning disabilities, bullying, feeling not good enough, rejection, trying to be in control of everything, being a rescuer, and feeling like a victim. As a wife, married for a long time, meant that she had to recreate her marriage several times over her lifetime, finding ways with her husband to keep choosing each other. Today, her whole family spends a week together traveling or at or at the beach where they get to reconnect to each other in a fun and loving way. They also talk and see each other throughout the year. This feeling of emotional transparency was achieved by doing personal development work. She also had a corporate career in technology and for over 25 years owned 6 fast food businesses. She has a 12 weeks transformational coaching program and a couples weekend course, and the name is Crossing the Bridge. So with all of that, Mariana Wais, welcome. Thank you very much for being here with all of us.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. And I'm very grateful to be here and have the opportunity to speak with you. And so let's go right into what my subject is today, which is forgiveness is the path to love and happiness. And that, like it was said, is very connected to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. But today we're going to talk about how we see the world, yeah, and why we need forgiveness. So the story for me starts well. So like it was said, I had a career in technology. I was a career coach, and then one of my sons. I have 4 kids. So my third son started using marijuana, which apparently is very common here. But I'm from Argentina, so not so common there when I grew up. And so what did I do? I sent him to one therapist for 1 year. I sent him to another therapist for another year. Then I sent him another therapist for another year. But he was already 17 and he was about to go to college. And I said, we need to do something here because if he goes to college, who knows what's going to happen. So this son has dyslexia. So in his life, he changed to a lot of different schools that had kids that had problems and that they had teachers who knew how to teach differently. Now, so we did this course and my son learned nothing from the course, but I learned a lot. And what I learned is that I am responsible for the life that I have, and everything that is around me is because I'm creating it. And I'm creating it without even knowing that I'm creating it, because I choose how I feel about everything that happens. So that is called context. I cannot choose the content, but I can choose the context. How am I going to look at things? So So when time passed, I was doing my work, and here my second son got married. It was July. My second son got married. All my family came over from Israel and Australia and Latin America. We were all here having a good time. And after everybody left, the next day, they called me from jail, my son. The police has arrested him. He was stopped because of a broken light, and he had drugs in his car, marijuana, and he was arrested. And that's where I will stop with the story, and I tell you how the story ends later. But I want you to know that this is the beginning of my path into understanding how what I feel and what I do has an impact on others. So there is a concept that I want to explain. I'm going to put something on the screen, a slide. Let's see if I can share. Okay, let me make it bigger. There we go. So there is a concept that I want to explain today that is called the circle of belief, which I'm going to explain with an example because I think it's easier. So we think that life happens in a special way, that things are truths, but they're not truths, they are just beliefs. Okay, so I'm going to give an example. I was driving my car, and my husband was next to me and my daughter was behind me. This happened like a year ago. And my daughter says to me, "Mom, you are really a bad driver." And I said, "No, I'm a good driver." She goes, "No, Ma, you are a really bad driver." I said, No, I'm a good driver." And she says, "Not only me, I think you're a bad driver. My brothers also think you are a bad driver. Dad, do you think she's a bad driver?" "Yes, she's a bad driver." I said, "I'm a good driver because I have no tickets, no accidents, and my dad told me that I was a good driver. So I'm convinced I'm a good driver." So you see, the reality that they have is different than the reality that I have. They think I'm a bad driver because I zigzag on the road, and I also stop very suddenly. So from their end, they are looking at all the dots that prove that I'm a bad driver. From my end, I'm looking at all the dots that prove that I'm a good driver, which is I don't have tickets, I don't have accidents. So we are looking at the same thing, the same event, the same situation from two different points of view. So that is a belief. Belief is not reality. Belief is a feeling. I feel that I'm a good driver. It doesn't mean that it's real. It's just my feeling. They feel I'm a bad driver. That's their feeling. So in the circle of belief, what happens is that when we were when we are young, kids, 4, 5, 6, 2, 10, 12, 15, we go around creating beliefs. Things happen and we take them in such a way that we make decisions of the events. As a 6-year-old, 8-year-old. So I'm going to give an example of an event that I discovered, which is I was probably like 10 years old. I come home. My father was an engineer, but worked in the pharmacy. My mother was a pharmacist. They own a pharmacy. And my father loved mathematics and physics. He loved it. He thought that was the best thing in the world. So I come home from school and I come with a test where I got 100, perfect score. So I come very happy to show my dad that I got a test with 100, and my dad says, "So how did you come up with those equations?" I said, "I don't know, Dad, but I put the right equation in the right place and I got 100. He goes, no. You need to understand. You don't know. Sit down. I'm going to explain." And in that moment, I sat down and I started crying. And my father went on explaining how the equations are created and where they come from the source. And he was so happy trying to explain to me so I would know more in this world, because his parents were immigrants, no education. He's an engineer. He knows that the more I know, the easier my life will be in this world. And that's his belief. So I keep crying, he keeps explaining. So the event is that I came home with a test with 100. What and my father made me sit down saying that I didn't know enough. So my feelings, what were my feelings? I felt shame because I thought I really don't know anything. I think I know and I don't know. I felt sadness because I felt totally unloved. I felt angry with my father, and that's what I felt. That's how I felt. So in that moment, I made a decision, which is, it doesn't matter how much I try, I will never know enough. I didn't make it consciously. I mean, I made it like a 10-year-old that, I wasn't thinking about it. It just happened. I made a decision and I created a belief. And my belief was, I'm not good enough. I need to know more. What I know is not enough. And what happens is when we create a belief, the belief doesn't have to match reality. A belief is something that we feel inside and it looks like it's real. It doesn't really matter if it's real or not. It feels real. So what happens? We go in life. I went on with life with the beliefs of a 10-year-old that I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. And we have not good enough in different areas, right? In our lives. I had not good enough in what I'm learning, in what I know. I have tons of certifications and, and I was a vice president for city and, I have experience. I ran the project management office for Latin America for Citibank for consumer, and I ran it for AIG, and I did important things if you look at it from the outside, but for me, it was never enough. So I need to know more, I need to learn more. Maybe I'll be good enough if I do this other thing. So I started a master's at Harvard. And after one class, I had already taken, started my path for personal development. And I said, what am I trying to achieve here with what I know, with my experience? Really, that degree is not going to add anything to me. Why am I doing it? I said, I'm doing it because I'm trying to prove that I'm good enough. So I let it go. And so what happens is that because we are in this circle, when we have a belief, we create an expectation. And the expectation is that no matter what I do, it'll never be enough. And then what happens? What happens is, it happens that whatever I do is not enough. Like I said, the car, I believe I'm a good driver. So it doesn't really matter what happens. I still believe I'm a good driver. And in this case, I believe that I need to know more. So it doesn't really matter what the proofs are. I believe that I need to know more. So I did not apply for positions that were higher because I thought that I needed to know more to apply to that position, and people who knew less than me or who were less qualified than me got the position. I wanted to create a perfect family because if I have the perfect family, then I'll be good enough. And in the other thing that happens is that we don't want to take responsibility for what's going on in our lives. So what we do is we blame others. So I was blaming others for everything that was happening to me. I made my father a monster. Yeah, like he was his fault that he wanted to teach me, like I explained it, right? He wanted to teach me and he made me feel not good enough. So I made my father responsible for my feelings of not good enough. So what happens is that when we make these decisions, we create these beliefs, the world has a context to it. And the context is that I am not good enough. Men are, in that context of that moment, men are powerful. Women cannot defend themselves. Life is difficult, therefore I must continue learning. You see, in that decision that I made all of those decisions as well. So then it went my life with all those decisions, like all of your lives, you guys made all of the decisions, and we have beliefs that work for us. For instance, I can fly in a plane. I'm not afraid of flying. I mean, I'm not going to fly now with COVID, but in general, I like visiting around the world. I'm not afraid of flying. Some people are afraid of flying. So is the fear of flying real? It's a belief. It's a feeling. It's not real or unreal. It just is. So we look at beliefs like if they are truths, and we know that we have. So we have good beliefs or beliefs that work for us and beliefs that don't work for us. Like the belief that I'm a good driver works for me. The belief that I'm not good enough did not work for me. So you pick which beliefs you want to change, and then you can change them. And the question is, how do you change a belief? So there are techniques for changing beliefs, but I'm going to tell you how those beliefs creep into your life. So I like my my family room table to be clear. And my husband really doesn't care if it's organized or not. So every day that I come home from work, if the table is unorganized, I start complaining to my husband. Why did you disorganize the table? I left it organized, you disorganized it, and now start making in my head that my husband is doing it on purpose, just to bother me. So what I have to do is realize that there is something there about my belief about the table being disorganized. You know, like what does it matter if the table is disorganized? It's just my context. What the table disorganized means to me. So for me, when the table is organized, then there is quiet in my brain. There is quiet because in my house, my mom and my dad used to fight a lot, and that was chaos. So when there is chaos, my automatic unconscious used to go to, wow, this is dangerous. You know, like the feeling of they might get divorced would come up. But now that I know, because when you don't know your beliefs, they work in the under the consciousness here. But when you understand what the belief is, they come up here into the consciousness, and now you can do something about it. So now when the table is unorganized, all I need to do is I just come in, you know, pile up, clean it up, and I'm fine. I don't need to get angry because I know where it's coming from, and I was able to change those beliefs. So how do you change a belief? So if we go back to the belief that I created, that little girl that was 10 years old was really scared and was really afraid that the father didn't love her. So I can go back and look at my father did love me, and he was not doing anything to me. He was not shaming me. He was not trying to make me cry. He was loving me in the way that he knew how to love, which was teaching me math. He wanted me to have an easier time in life. So once I can see that I chose at the moment to believe that I was a victim of my father, I can choose today to see how my father loved me. And that was a missed opportunity to connect with my father. So what I need to do now is go to forgiveness. And I get to forgive myself for having chosen a space where I made my father an ogre, a monster, instead of seeing my father as the loving father that he was. I can forgive him if I want, but mostly I need to forgive myself. And once I forgive myself, I can make a new choice on how I want to remember that. And when I change my memory of how I remember that, my whole context changes. And I create a new belief, basically, just in that moment. You know that there are things that always happen the same way. You say, I always have friends who stop talking to me, or my son always have this problem, and or speaking always the wrong girls, or is always upset, or something that is always happening. And you say, you know why? Okay, the why is that there is a belief underneath it that makes it happen over and over and over until you uncover the belief, and then you change it. So if you don't look at a belief, if you want to change some outcome that it's kind of, how your future is going to be. If you want it to be different, you have to do something about it. Because if you don't change anything, the outcome will be exactly what you think it's going to be. It's not going to change. So there are some techniques you can use for clearing, for forgiving. One is you can write a letter to yourself, forgiving yourself, and you can burn it, or you can bury it, or you can save it. You can light a candle. Forgiveness is something that is not a one day. That's why in Judaism we have Yom Kippur every year. Forgiveness is something you can do every day. And then Yom Kippur is an opportunity to go out and connect with people that you want to be forgiven. But mostly, what I'm talking today about is not the forgiveness with others, because really, the resentment is really in your life. It's not in the lives of the others. The resentment is with you. We say that resentment is like eating rat poisoning and hoping that the rat will die. But I'm eating the rat poisoning and I'm hoping that the rat will die. So to stop the resentment, you gotta go to forgiveness. And once you forgive, and it doesn't matter if you talk to somebody else or not, in your brain, in your heart, once you forgive, that space that opens up for you will be filled with love. And love is the path to happiness. So this is what, like I said, there are three things. There are three things you can do that I suggest you can do. One is light a candle, the other one write a letter, and the other one is called 770, which is for 7 days. You write 70 times each day, I forgive you for, and whatever it is, 70 things that you forgive yourself for. And you do that every day. And after 7 days, you will see that you are like a different person. It's that simple. So there is more than this. There is other things that are clearing techniques. There are things that are understanding what are your limiting beliefs that are getting on the way of you being even happier. So that's the end of my knowledge transfer. And I want to tell you about my son. So I did the work and I learned to put boundaries. I learned that I was trying to create the perfect family. There is no perfect family. There is no perfect people. We are all human. We are not robots. We all make mistakes. All we can do is forgive ourselves from the mistakes and just learn from them and move on. So my son did his work, I did my work, the rest of my family did their work, and he ended up, he's today 9 years sober. He's fine. He put himself back through school. He graduated college, and he's working in the field on his college degree. He's in marketing. So that's how this work that I'm talking about can help people. It helped me, helped my son, it helped my other kids, it helped us all. And now when we as a family go on vacation together, and that's why I have a suntan, I just came back from vacation with them, we all talk. And even if we don't like what the other one is saying, we can talk about it. There is no silence about not talking because you're going to get offended, or if I say this, he's not going to take it the right way. So it has created a wonderful connection among all of us. So thank you for listening. And what I'm assuming is that if you have any questions, now is the time to open it up.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, now it's the time for questions and answers, or if you want to share some life experience or something, you are more than welcome to unmute yourself and do it. Come on, don't be shy.
Anybody has one of those that is always the same, with the son, with the daughter, with the husband? That is always the same thing. I mean, I've been married 38 years. You can't tell me you don't have it. We all have it. I still have them.
Okay, anyway, unmute yourself so we can, yeah, very good. So it's too much silence, if not. I think people want for you, Mariana, to continue for.
I don't think they want me to continue. I think they don't want to share because they probably thinking I'm going to be embarrassed if I share. Yeah. And in the sharing, so you know, when we keep secrets, when we don't talk about what's going on with us, that's how that victim piece, that blame, takes a hold of you. When you share that, I'm sorry, my phone is saying I have to be here. So when you share, you see that it's much lighter. Whatever you have is much lighter. It's no longer that heavy piece that you thought it was so terrible. It stops being terrible. Like I used to not share that my son was an addict because I thought it was like so shameful for me because I'm not the perfect mother. But you know what? It connects me with people, that I'm a human being, that I have problems, my kids have problems, we all work it out together. And that's how life is. Life is not. Being human means being different, having problems. My dad used to patch in the tushy my sister because she misbehaved. And I was the perfect girl. I never misbehaved and I cried a lot. So when my father was doing that, I was crying next to my mom because I was so fearful that he was going to hit me like in the tushy also. So not long ago, I talked to my sister and I said that I felt so bad when this happened to her. And she goes, Mariana, when that happened to me, what I thought was, if this is all is going to happen when I misbehave, I'm free to misbehave whatever I want. It's not a big deal. So for her, it was no problem. And I had all my life thinking, poor my sister, look how she suffered. She didn't suffer. She didn't care. So that's how we, under the same situation, have different beliefs. I created a belief that was dangerous, that misbehaving was dangerous. She created a belief that misbehaving was okay.
Yes. So let's start misbehaving.
Yes. Freedom.
Okay. Very good. Any comment?
Everybody's perfect.
No, I love the idea that we get to forgive ourselves, because sometimes we do get frustrated and annoyed with our own actions. And then if we think about it a little bit more, as you say, then we realize this is us. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the way it is. I may as well forgive myself and go on. If there's something I'm really upset about, I can try to remember not to do it ever again. But I love the idea of forgiving myself. Thank you.
You're welcome. The other day, not long ago, like a couple of weeks ago, I was in a group, and they had a number of coaches, and there weren't enough students, so some of the coaches didn't have students, so they said, you know, you guys are not going to have students, and one of those was me. And I was not picked. And I said, well, I was not picked. Somebody had to be picked. You know, I have a schedule that is difficult, so maybe that's why I was not picked. But the day passed, and the second day passed, and I felt energy. You know what it means, feeling energy? Like you say, no, it's no problem, it's no problem. You keep talking about it. You say, no, it's no problem, but you call the friend and say, look what happened to me. So I had to go back and see how I was not picked when I was a little girl. And once I found that, I saw that my little girl was still suffering for not being picked by the friends. I was always the last one to be picked. I mean, I didn't fit in. Like I was a nerd. Nobody wanted to be with me. So, and I was a nerd for my father. So anyway, that's what was happening. So I just, you know, made peace with me. I forgave myself for being a nerd as a little girl. And I said, and then I called the person who didn't pick me and I said, thank you, because now I had the opportunity to go back and see how that was still driving me. It was perfect that I had that opportunity. You see how you can turn any opportunity, anything that happens is a gift, because either it'll be good or you learn from it.
Yes. You're right. That's good. And sometimes we need to forgive ourselves, and because sometimes other people, we feel that we have done something wrong and other people don't feel the same. And we treat other people or we behave in such a way that other people don't understand. And we think that we have done something wrong, and really sometimes we just need to say it in a loud voice, and that's all, and forgive ourselves.
Exactly. And sometimes you have somebody that you want to says you did something wrong, somebody else says you did something wrong, and you try to talk to them and ask for forgiveness, and they're like, I'm not talking to you, I don't care. And then you have to forgive yourself and let them go, because if you try to get forgiveness and the person doesn't want to give it to you, it's no longer with them, it's just with you, right? You did your best, you figured out why it happened, what happened, and you get to love yourself. And that's the thing, that when you forgive yourself, you get to love yourself. And who doesn't like loving children? And you are like a little kid inside.
Yeah, and we are supposed to ask for forgiveness 3 times. After the 3rd time, if the other person don't forgive you, it's their problem. We are free. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Some more Mario Wais, I think, and I don't know if you are applauding or.
Yeah, he's applauding. Somebody that knows how to use Zoom.
Mario Wais, it's your.
Jamie? Yes, he's my brother. Jamie, you want to ask a question?
Well, I mean, I've been in. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You know, I've been in situations where there's no way I can forgive that person, even if they ask for forgiveness. So what I tell them is, let's just move on. Just get over it, move on. You know, I won't say like it never happened, but let's just move on with life, and maybe something will happen. Some kind of, I wouldn't call it reconciliation, but we move through life together.
Well, when you cannot forgive that person, is because there is something in you that is stuck. Because the one who's suffering is you, not the other person.
Well,
When
it's more the situation as anything else.
well, if it's a situation and it's not a person, then it's a different thing. But mostly, like I said, the situations are looked at in a certain context, and the context comes from your childhood. Like by the time we are 8, we have felt all the feelings we're going to feel. So any event that happens triggers a feeling. I mean, we feel all the time, all day long, except when we are sleeping, that we dream. But all day long, what happens is most of the feelings that we have during the day, they are not affecting us, they are not triggering us. But when something happens and it triggers you, okay, there's some energy there that about something that happened in the past that you are associating it. It doesn't have to be the same, but somehow it's coming up. Somehow we are relating it without knowing because it's all unconscious.
So let me give an example. So I have a sister who is what I would call a repeat offender. And every few years, I try and reconcile, move forward, whatever. And then she does the same thing again, very viciously. And my only option is to just say, you go live your life and I'll go live my life. And we move on.
Right.
But when I have someone who does the same thing over and over again, forgiveness doesn't seem to work. It doesn't seem to be a valid concept.
You have to have forgiveness, but also have boundaries. If you know that your sister is going to do these things, then you put boundaries and you don't let her in areas of your life or in a way that will hurt you.
Well, basically is I don't talk to her for 20 years at all, period. Because no matter what happens, something happens.
You may not talk to her for 20 years. And the question is, can you not talk to her for 20 years and not carry the resentment?
All right, I can, she doesn't. Or she'll say, well, it never really existed. I said, well, it did happen. Let's just move through it. You follow what I'm saying here? Or she offended me greatly, said a few things obnoxious, all right, in front of people. So you move through it and you say, all right, fine. I'm going to ignore that. Please don't do it again. Well, I didn't really do it before. Okay, and of course, then she does it again.
I'm going to give you an extreme example that is going to be difficult to understand, but it happens. So people who've been molested forgive their molesters. Doesn't mean that it tells them that what they did was good. It means that they let go of the resentment. So it has nothing to do with the other person forgiveness. It has all to do with you holding resentment. Resentment makes you sick.
But I can let go of resentment without being forgiven.
You can, when you let go of resentment, you basically go into forgiveness. And you have boundaries. Like I have a great relationship with my kids and everything, but we all have boundaries. Like, some things I'm not going to allow them to do, or something, like my son was living with me one time for 6 months. And after the 3rd month, he came and said, Mom, I have a friend who needs money. And he was paying me rent. That was part of the agreement. Said, can I skip rent 1 month or pay you half so I can help him? I said, that's not the agreement. You want to help your friend, you stop eating out or whatever it is that you do. We have an agreement that is the rent. This is my boundary, you see, because I had to make sure that I wasn't wishy-washy with my boundaries, clear boundaries. I had a contract with him. We wrote it down. What are the things that you want? What are the things that I want? And he said, when I come home, I'm an adult. I don't want to go to your room and say, Mom, I'm home. I say, okay, we write it down. You don't have to. But if I'm in the living room and you see me, you say hi. Yes, I will say hi. Okay. This is simple things, but boundaries. If he was not going to live by the boundaries I created, he could not live in my house.
So is that forgiveness?
So boundaries, like boundaries. If this person is hurtful for you, then, you know, if maybe you can talk to this person once a year for 5 minutes, that's all you can do. You decide. You see, you are in control of your life, so you decide.
Oh, I'm very much in control. I've shut this person completely out. But I wouldn't call it forgiveness or anything. I just move forward in my life and just, compartmentalize.
You
And I
can do
think a lot of people do that.
Yeah, I know. And what I'm saying is that if you can forgive also, then you'll be so much happier. You can
I'm
live like
pretty happy now leaving her behind. I don't know that I need forgiveness or to forgive anything. It's just
not for him.
I'm happy. I live a happy life not having her in my life.
Perfect then. If you live a happy life and you don't have any resentment, you are in a good place.
That's what I want to be. That's why I said by moving on. It's just like, I don't have resentment or anything. It's happened. It's gone. Move on. Do something else. But it's not like it's an act of forgiveness. At least in my definition.
Now, when you forgive, you open your heart to love, and to love yourself and to love others, and understand that the others are different and you don't have to connect with them if you don't want to, but you can see their little kids that are so hurt. Because what happens is that all the people that are doing things that we don't like, they are hurt also, and we are hurt also. And our hearts connect, and then boom, it's a trigger. So some people get, like we all have different friends. Some people get along with some people get along with other people. And that's because of the upbringing that we have, the beliefs that we have. It's all connected to that. I mean, you can live like you live, but if you get to forgive, wow. It's like when they do in the 4th of July, the
Fireworks, yeah.
Fireworks. Now you have fireworks because now your heart is full of love and you can let go of all the other stuff. It's fantastic. That's what I discovered. That's why I'm in this mission, helping others.
I mean, if she were to come around, I'd be very happy, but I'm not going to make any effort.
Okay. Your choice. I'm glad that you have a choice.
What happens when it's too late to ask for forgiveness or to forgive because the other person passed away?
So my father passed away and my mother too. And my father passed away pretty young. He was 69. And I only discovered all of these tools, all this technology after my father has passed away. So what happens is that I keep forgiving myself, forgiving them, loving them every day, even more. Every day I love my parents who have passed away more because my heart is filled with love, seeing all the love that they gave me in places where I couldn't see it before, where I thought, oh, look what he did. And I'm like, oh, look what he did. You see, it's such a different place to stand. Is to stand in a place of love. So I love my parents. I'm sure they're watching me and saying, Mariana, I'm so proud of you. And we love you too. We always loved you. We just couldn't see it.
Very good. Thank you. Mariana, do you have a question?
Oh, I have an idea because, hi, Mariana. I like the idea that you propose to write things to get forgiven. So maybe now that it's Tashlich, instead of just throw away papers empty with the idea that you have something, maybe we can do an exercise and every day write something in a piece of paper till the day of Tashlich, that it will be, I think, the 2nd day of Rosh Hashanah.
Yes.
And you come to the Bay Shore where we always go and do our Tashlich. And I think if you start writing every day something, we can start a year without carrying a lot of things. It will be like more easy way. And really, I think writing, it's very good. Very, very good.
So instead of throwing bread, we can throw our bad feelings. Our bad feelings are bad feelings with others also.
Resentment.
Resentment, yes.
They're all good feelings, even the resentment, because they help us. But you can write forgiveness notes I forgive myself for whatever, and you put it with the bread and you throw it together with the bread.
You don't throw that in the water.
Not the papers.
No.
Okay, so you put it, you burn it, or you put it in a place you can bury it.
Yes, we can.
Good point, Riva. Good point.
Very good. Do we have more comments? Something?
Don't want to monopolize this. So let's say you're the victim of a criminal act and the criminal dies. And it leaves an enduring mark on you. Let's say it's called rape and molestation. How do you handle that?
I think you need therapy. I mean, you can get to forgiveness, but you cannot get to forgiveness with a 30-minute chat. You need therapy. And hopefully you will get to forgiveness. If you get to forgiveness, you will be rid of what happens, because it's the context a lot. Is what does it mean to you what happened? You know? What did it mean that somebody had control over your body? What did it mean that somebody was able to do things to you that you didn't want? So that has a meaning in terms of your childhood and how it's recreated today. So, you know, a therapist can help you with that.
Okay. So, Mariana, thank you very much.
You're
Muchas
welcome.
gracias.
De nada. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
We enjoyed a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we are going to finish our second Rosh Chodesh group meeting today, singing like the song of the season, that it's Avinu Malkeinu. All of us know this one. So even that it's part of the liturgy of everyday, it's everyday prayer liturgy, but we put more emphasis during the high holidays with Avinu Malkeinu. So if you want to unmute yourselves, you can do it, and let's sing together. Avinu Malkeinu, Haneinu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Haneinu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, ve'oshienu. Chodesh Tov to everybody. Let's have a great month.
Chodesh Tov to everybody. Thank
Yes.
you, Rabbi Cantor. Very
Thank you,
nice.
Mariana. Thanks to everybody for being here.
Thanks for setting this up.
Bye-bye.
Yes. My apologies for coming late. I had another meeting.
It's a busy time, busy Zoom time, and now you have someplace else to go probably.
Funeral, and I got one phone call yet. So that's over.
Bye-bye.
You all take care. Bye.
You
All
too,
right.
Jane.
Very good.
Good night. Good night. Have a good night.
Good night. Mark?
Rabbi, isn't the main focus or motivation that since we're going to stand before Hashem on Yom Hadim, the Day of Judgment, Rosh Hashanah, isn't the main focus that we need to forgive others because we can't come before Him with all the baggage and sins, because there's no way a human being can be wholly righteous in our own deeds. So we all sin before Hashem. So that before we ask Him for forgiveness, we really, with all the big debt, like money debt, but not money, sin debt to God,